Okay, let's unpack this. We tend to think of English as this one giant monolithic thing, right?
Yeah, we really do.
Like,
yeah.
we all learn the exact same grammar rules in school, and we watch the same movies, so we generally just assume we all understand each other.
Right. But if you really listen...
If you really listen to how people actually talk in different pockets of the country,
Mm.
you realize English is actually a collection of these fascinating little micro-languages.
It absolutely is. And honestly, I think dialects are where the actual history of a place lives.
Oh, for sure.
It's not just about having an accent or, dropping your G's. It's about the specific metaphors people reach for to explain their reality.
Which is exactly what we're getting into today.
The words you use to describe a problem or a celebration tell us everything about what your ancestors valued and what they feared.
I love that idea. The idea that history is just hiding in plain sight right inside our everyday sentences.
Hiding in plain sight, yeah.
And today, for this deep dive, we are going on a very specific linguistic tour. We are heading to the American South.
A gold mine for this kind of thing.
It really is. Now, I have to be honest with you. When I first looked at this stack of source material, which includes entries from the Dictionary of American Regional English and a curated list of 20 unique Southern expressions, I just laughed.
I mean, you have to.
Some of these are objectively hilarious.
They are funny. There's no denying that. The Southern tradition has a great appreciation for wit.
But our mission today isn't just to chuckle at colorful phrases.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do what we always do on this deep dive, which is find the logic.
Right, the underlying structure.
We want to understand why these phrases exist, where they came from, and what kind of folk wisdom is baked into them. Because as I was reading, I realized these aren't just random jokes.
No, not at all.
They're almost like survival guides.
That is the perfect way to frame it. You have to remember the bulk of these sayings originated in a rural agricultural society.
Which changes everything about how you see the world.
Exactly. People were dealing with the unpredictability of nature, the really hard labor of farming, and the closeness of small communities.
Right.
So the language had to be practical. It had to be vivid. And often it had to function as a warning.
So let's dive right into that survival guide aspect. The first big pattern I noticed in our sources is this intense obsession with efficiency.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe it's better described as a deep, abiding hatred of wasted effort.
That makes total sense. When you're living off the land, energy is a finite resource. You cannot afford to spend calories on something that won't put dinner on the table.
Exactly. And the sources give us some incredible ways to tell someone that they are being totally useless.
Some very creative ways.
The first one that really stuck out to me is this phrase, "You're whistling up a gum stump."
Whistling up a gum stump. Now, before we analyze it, what is your gut reaction to that? What do you think that means?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like whistling while you work, like you're just standing around a tree stump whistling a tune and not getting anything done.
That's a really good guess, but the reality is much more specific to hunting. This is where the local botanical knowledge comes in.
So botanical knowledge.
Yeah, the gum here refers to a black gum tree.
Okay, black gum tree.
And the specific characteristic of a gum tree is that as it ages, it tends to rot from the inside out.
Oh, I see.
So a gum stump is almost always totally hollow.
I see exactly where this is going.
Right. So picture a hunter out with his dogs. They've chased a raccoon or a possum, and they think the animal has gone into the stump.
But if it's a gum stump...
It's hollow. It's empty. There's absolutely nothing in there.
So you're standing there whistling for your dogs to come get the prey.
And you are whistling at an empty hole. You are engaging in a totally futile action.
Wow.
You're excited, you're making noise, you're expending effort, but there is zero reward at the end of it.
That is so incredibly specific. You're whistling up a gum stump. It's basically the rural 19th century version of saying, this meeting could have been an email.
In a way, yes. It's about recognizing when an activity is yielding absolutely no results. And that theme carries right over into the next phrase on our list, which is never follow an empty wagon.
Now, this one feels a little more philosophical to me. Never follow an empty wagon.
It is philosophical, but again, it's grounded in the physical world. Think about the basic logic of it. If you are walking behind a wagon on a dirt farm road, why are you doing it?
Well, maybe you're hoping something falls off.
Right.
Like a bale of hay or some corn.
Exactly. You're looking for an opportunity. Scraps value something worth picking up. But if the wagon is empty...
then you're just walking in the dust for no reason.
Precisely. You are following a path that has no potential for return. It's essentially a warning against the sunk cost fallacy long before economists gave it a fancy name.
Right.
Don't follow a person or a leader or a project that has nothing to offer you.
It's amazing how these farmers understood opportunity cost perfectly. Okay, speaking of cost and effort, this next one gave me a very weird mental image, and I need you to explain it.
Let's hear it.
Tough as putting socks on a rooster.
This is a classic.
I mean, I'm visualizing a rooster right now. They have those sharp spur things on their legs. They are aggressive.
Wow.
Why would anyone try to put socks on one?
Well, on the literal level, you wouldn't. That is exactly the point. Imagine the sheer chaos of trying to wrangle an angry rooster and put a tiny sock on its foot.
It would be a complete nightmare. Feathers flying everywhere.
It would be incredibly difficult and ultimately entirely pointless. So when you say a task is tough as putting socks on a rooster, you aren't just saying it's hard.
You're saying it's stupid.
You're saying it's an aggravating, complicated mess that probably shouldn't be attempted in the first place.
But the notes here from the source material mention a nuance. It's not just about the task, is it? It can also be about how something looks.
Right. This is where the linguistic creativity really shines. If you see a piece of carpentry that's just wrong, maybe the angles don't match, or it's just really clumsy.
You say that looks like socks on a rooster.
Exactly. Or if someone is wearing clothes that fit terribly, it implies poor workmanship or something that is just unnaturally awkward.
So it implies a really bad fit.
Bad fit, yeah. It's a scathing critique wrapped up in a funny image.
I love that so much. It's so much more descriptive than just saying, that looks bad.
Yeah.
And the final one in this useless category is short and sharp, as worthless as gum on a boot heel.
Zero ambiguity there.
None at all.
If you step in gum or pine resin, it doesn't help you walk. It doesn't protect your foot.
No, it just sticks to you.
It sticks to you. It collects dirt and it annoys you. It's not just having zero value, it's having negative value. It is an active nuisance.
It really seems like this culture didn't suffer fools or useless things gladly. But what's really interesting to me is that this obsession with efficiency and getting things right didn't stop at the edge of the cornfield.
Oh, no, it didn't.
It seems like it bled right into their personal lives, too.
Absolutely. The source material has a whole fascinating section on courtship, marriage, and social strategy.
Which is wild to think about.
And if you think about it, in a small agricultural community, who you marry or who you trust is also a survival decision.
That is a really good point. You can't afford a bad partner any more than you can afford a hollow tree. But the way they describe dating is, wow, this first one. If someone said this to me, I would assume I was being insulted.
What is it?
The phrase is, fling a nubbin to the cow.
Fling a nubbin to the cow. Yeah, it sounds pretty rough to modern ears.
It sounds like I'm feeding livestock.
Well, literally you are. We need to define nubbin first. In corn farming, a nubbin is a small, imperfect ear of corn. It's a treat, essentially.
Okay, so it's a little snack.
Now here is the agricultural logic behind it. If you want to catch a calf, maybe to tag it or check its health, you do not chase the calf.
Because it'll run away.
The calf is fast and skittish. Instead, you offer the nubbin to the mother cow.
Oh, wow. If you get the mom, you get the baby.
Exactly. The calf will naturally follow the mother. So metaphorically, this became advice for young men courting young women.
Don't chase the girl.
Don't chase the girl directly. Fling a nubbin to the cow means you should charm her mother.
That is brilliant.
If you win the mother's approval, the daughter will likely follow suit. It is a highly strategic approach to romance.
It's incredibly unromantic, yet strategically totally sound. It treats dating like a tactical military operation.
It's pragmatic. And on the flip side, when that strategy fails, you have this phrase, she drove her ducks to a bad market.
The notes also mention a variant, drove her ducks to a poor pond.
Right. Think about what ducks represented to a farm woman back then. They were her literal assets. Her eggs, her down, her potential income.
Her livelihood.
Exactly. If she takes them to a bad market, she gets no return on her investment.
So this is basically a polite way of saying she married a loser.
It is. It's a euphemism for a woman making a terrible choice in a husband. She took all her potential, her ducks, and invested them in a situation where they won't thrive.
That is a heartbreaking image, really.
It is, because it acknowledges that she had value, but she just placed it wrong.
That's actually quite profound. It frames it as a bad business decision rather than some kind of moral failing.
Yeah, it takes the judgment out of it a bit.
Now, staying in the social realm, there's a phrase here that uses a word I haven't heard in ages, rip your galluses.
Yes, galluses. It's an old term for suspenders or trouser braces.
So literally hold on to your pants.
Literally, yes. But this one has a deep history. It likely traces back to Scots-Irish immigrants who settled heavily in the South.
Okay.
There was an older expression they brought with them about storms. Something like when the wind tries to whip off your shawl, grip your galluses.
So it started as literal advice for weathering a physical storm.
Right. But over generations, the meaning shifted from physical weather to emotional weather. Grip your galluses came to mean when times get hard, when life is trying to blow you down. Hold on to the things that keep you together.
And what are those things usually?
In the context of the saying, it usually means your close friends or your kinsfolk. Your galluses are your support system. They are the only thing keeping you decent and upright.
That is surprisingly poetic. You go from holding up your trousers to holding on to your soul and your community.
It really highlights that Scots-Irish influence. A lot of these phrases survived the crossing of the Atlantic and then just mutated to fit the new American landscape.
Speaking of history and mutation, this next section is my absolute favorite. The notes call this fossilized history.
Oh, this is great.
These are phrases that started with a real person or a real event, and people just kept saying them long after they completely forgot who the person was.
This is exactly how language becomes a time capsule. An event makes such a splash that it freezes in the language.
Take this one, for example. Drunker than Cooter Brown. I feel like I've heard this in movies, but I never stopped to ask, who was Cooter Brown? Was he just the town drunk?
He wasn't just a drunk, he was a strategic drunk. The folklore here is fascinating.
Let's hear it.
The story goes that Cooter Brown lived right on the Mason-Dixon line during the Civil War.
A very dangerous place to be at that time.
Extremely. He was eligible for the draft on both sides. The Union wanted him and the Confederacy wanted him. But Cooter Brown had absolutely no interest in fighting for either cause.
So what did he do? Move?
No, he decided that if he was perpetually incapacitatedly drunk, neither army would take him.
You are kidding.
So the legend says he didn't draw a sober breath for the entire duration of the war.
That is quite the commitment to neutrality.
It was a survival strategy. In a culture that highly valued honor and bravery, dodging the draft was a huge taboo. But Cooter became this legendary figure of extreme measures.
I see.
Now, I should note, our sources mention an alternative etymology here. Some linguists think Cooter might just be a playful extension of the word cootie, as in a bedbug.
Like drunker than a bedbug.
Exactly. But the Civil War folklore is the much more popular origin story. So drunker than Cooter Brown doesn't just mean you had a few too many. It implies a legendary historical level of intoxication.
I love that. It's not just drunk, it's conscientious objector drunk.
Exactly.
Now, this next historical one is even wilder because it connects a vulgarity to a prominent politician. The phrase is, stick with Terry and you'll fart through silk.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but this is a masterclass in political messaging. We have to go back to World War II to understand it.
Okay, set the scene for us.
You have Terry Sanford. Now, just to be clear, we aren't endorsing his politics. Here we are just looking at the linguistic impact of his life. He later became the Democratic governor of North Carolina and a U.S. presidential candidate in the 1970s.
Right, impartially reporting the history here.
But at this time during the war, he was a paratrooper officer. He's leading men into incredibly dangerous combat. They are scared. They are miserable.
And as a leader, he needs to motivate them.
Right. Now, the phrase fart through silk had actually been around for a century prior, since the late 1800s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a very blue, very working class way of describing extreme luxury. It meant you were so rich you were wearing silk underwear.
Okay, I get the picture.
So Terry Sanford tells his men, stick with me and you'll fart through silk. He was essentially promising them, if you follow my lead, we won't just survive this war. We will come home and live in luxury.
That is an incredible promise to make in a foxhole.
It is. And because Sanford went on to become such a massive political figure in North Carolina and the South, the phrase stuck. It became a slogan. Wow.
It morphed from a vulgar military joke into a promise of prosperity and political loyalty.
It's amazing how a phrase about silk underwear became a rallying cry for a generation of voters.
It captures that blend of high and low culture perfectly.
Now, this last historical one feels less like a political promise and more like a ghost story. Stay out of a deadening in a thunderstorm.
This one is definitely chilling, but again, it's rooted in practical forestry, not ghosts. A deadening refers to a very specific way of clearing land.
What does that look like?
Well, cutting down massive trees with an axe is incredibly hard work, so sometimes farmers would just girdle the trees.
Girdle them.
Yeah, they would cut a ring of bark all the way around the trunk.
And that kills the tree.
It cuts off the nutrient flow. The tree dies, but it stays standing. It loses its leaves. The wood dries out. So you end up with acres of these gray standing skeletons.
That is a deadening.
That area is called the deadening.
That sounds like a set for a horror movie.
It looks exactly like one. But the real danger is the physics. Those dead trees have brittle, rotting branches.
Ah, I see. If you walk into a deadening during a thunderstorm, the wind is going to snap those heavy limbs right off. They are essentially widowmakers waiting to fall.
So it's very practical safety advice. Don't walk where the dead trees are falling.
Exactly. But the word deadening is just so evocative. According to the folklore, it's heavily associated with death and physical danger. It sounds like a place where death lives.
It really does.
So the phrase carries this heavy, ominous weight that goes way beyond just watch out for falling branches.
It feels like a warning from a dark fairy tale. Okay, we've talked efficiency, we've talked history. Now we have to talk about the drama.
Oh, yes, the drama.
Because if there is one thing Southern speech seems to love, according to our sources, it's absolute hyperbole. Why say something is simply broken when you can say it is catawamptiously chawed up?
Catawamptiously. It is such a delight to say. And this word has actually been in the dictionary since 1848.
No way. 1848.
Yes. Even back then, linguists defined it as a ludicrous monstrosity of vulgar language.
It sounds like a cartoon sound effect.
Yeah. It implies total destruction. If something is catawamptiously chawed up, it isn't just broken. It has been chewed up, spit out, and utterly defeated. It really emphasizes the sheer scale of the mess.
And then there's this declaration of absolute defiance. I don't care if it hairlips the queen.
Or you might hear variants like the Pope or the President or even cows in Texas.
What is the logic here? Why are we hairlipping royalty?
It's all about consequences. A hairlip is a physical deformity. To cause such a thing to the queen, the highest symbol of order and dignity would be the ultimate scandal.
It would be high treason.
So saying, I don't care if it hairlips the queen means I'm going to do this thing and I do not care if it causes the biggest disaster imaginable.
I don't care about the fallout.
I don't care about the hierarchy. It is the ultimate statement of stubborn independence.
I love that energy. And for visual complexity, you really can't beat this next one. Instead of saying, I'm really nervous, you say, nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
This is my favorite example of how these idioms work. Nervous as a cat is a cliche. It's boring. It doesn't make you feel anything.
But you add the rocking chairs.
Suddenly you have a very specific scene. You can visualize the rockers moving back and forth. You can see that long tail on the floor.
You instantly understand the danger.
The specific fear of the tail getting crushed under a rocker. You feel the cat's anxiety.
It creates instant empathy. You're not just hearing about nervousness, you're feeling the threat.
Exactly. It forces the listener to visualize the situation. It's so evocative.
Okay, we have one more in this hyperbole section.
Yeah.
And I have to warn you, listening at home, this one contains some strong language. But the source material included it because it is a linguistic marvel.
It is the absolute ultimate example of alliteration in the dialect.
The phrase is used to describe extreme heat. It is hotter than a fresh, flacked female fox in a forest fire.
That is a lot of F.
It is a complete tongue twister.
It is. It's cited by the famous lexicographer Eric Partridge as circulating since the late 1800s. And yes, it's vulgar. It's absolutely meant to shock.
But look at the construction.
Right. It's rhythmic. It's poetic in a very aggressive way.
It definitely paints a picture.
Yeah.
A chaotic, violent, incredibly hot picture.
It does. It combines sex fire and nature into one explosive sentence. It shows that even when being crude, the dialect heavily values the sound of the words. It wants to have a distinct rhythm.
It's memorable.
Yeah.
I will give it that.
Yeah.
You certainly won't forget how hot it is.
No, you definitely won't.
Okay, we're coming down the home stretch here. We have a handful of phrases left in our stack from the sources, and these are short, punchy life lessons. So I want to try something different. I'm going to turn this into a bit of a lightning round.
I love it. Let's do it.
I'm going to give you the phrase, and I want you to give me the translation, the management advice, if you will. Ready?
Ready?
Phrase number 1. Let every man skin his own skunk.
That means mind your own business. Skinning a skunk is a terrible, smelly job. Don't volunteer to do it for someone else, and don't let them dump their stunk on you. It's about accountability.
Nice. Next one. Tote your own skillet.
Similar theme here. It means self-reliance. Carry your own weight. Handle your personal matters yourself. Don't expect others to cook for you or carry your burdens.
Okay, here's some financial advice. Don't stretch your arms further than the sleeves reach.
Do not live beyond your means. Your reach, meaning your spending, should never exceed your sleeves, meaning your actual resources.
That is incredibly solid advice for anyone with a credit card. Next, never thump a free watermelon.
Oh, this is about gratitude. Thumping a melon is how you test if it's ripe.
Right, you knock on it.
But if someone gives you one for free, don't test it, don't judge the quality, just be happy with what you get and say thank you. It's the local version of don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
And finally, you can't get all your possums up one tree.
Patience and planning. Possums are chaotic, they scatter. You can't expect every single part of your plan to come to fruition at the exact same moment. You have to deal with problems one by one.
Possum scatter. I feel like that should be on a t-shirt.
It's a very forgiving philosophy. It acknowledges that life is just messy.
So looking back at all of these, from the hollow gum stumps to the nervous cats and the scattered possums, what is the big takeaway from all these sources? We started this deep dive by saying we wanted to find the logic.
I think the logic is that you really have to pay attention. You can't come up with a phrase like nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs unless you are deeply watching the world around you.
You can notice things.
You have to notice the mechanics of the chair, the specific behavior of the cat.
So it's a culture of observation.
It is, and it's a culture that uses storytelling and humor as a shield. Life on a farm or in a war or paying bills in a poor community is hard. These phrases take the mundane hardship, the empty wagons and the bad markets, and turn them into a shared story. They turn the struggle into something colorful.
It turns survival into literature.
That is perfectly put.
Well, that wraps up our tour of Southern sayings. But we want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over on your own. It's one more phrase from our list that we haven't touched on yet, but I think it sums up this idea of observation perfectly.
The phrase is, a howling coyote ain't stealing no chickens.
Let that sink in for a second. A howling coyote ain't stealing no chickens.
Think about the predator. If the coyote is howling, he is announcing himself. You know exactly where he is. You can hear him. He's making a big scene.
So he's not the immediate threat.
Right. The coyote you really need to worry about is the silent one. The one quietly creeping under the fence while you are totally distracted by the noise.
That is chillingly accurate for real life. It's a reminder that the loudest problems, the howling coyotes on the news or in your office, aren't always the most dangerous ones.
Exactly. It asks you to look past the loud noise.
So as you go about your week, ask yourself, what are the howling coyotes in your life that you're focusing way too much on? And more importantly, what are the quiet ones you might be missing?
Stay curious out there.
We'll see you the next deep dive.